that was really our first venture into what we visualize as a full patient management for CPAP patients.
What originally drew you into the DM industry, and what's kept you here so long?
You get sucked in, but what's really important is it's a great industry. There's a lot of wonderful people. You get to know them. We all are collectively working together for one benefit, which is to help patients live at home, really, very independently and safe.
What's your day-to-day focus look like in driving growth?
We're really focusing on providers' needs. I always say that, and they're ever changing, right? Some providers need a full outsourced service. They just don't have the staff. You got to change. You got to innovate. That's what we've been doing for many years, and we continue to do it.
Jamie Caputo from Sova Sage. How's it going, man? All right, we are live on the Claim to Fame podcast. Jamie Caputo from Sova Sage. How's it going, man?
I'm great, Alex and Wayne. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invite and excited for our conversation here today.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So
Well,
for anyone who doesn't know who Jamie Caputo is or what Sova Sage is, let the listeners know a little bit about you and a little bit about your company. Love to hear about it.
Yeah, sure. A little bit about myself first. I've been in the HME industry, heavens, for probably close to 30 years. The last probably 20 has been really specializing on SaaS products, specializing in the PAP arena for resupply, and probably the last 15 years being more on the compliance management. But that whole process of a journey of a patient from start to finish, from diagnosis to resupply and ongoing management. Prior to that, I was on the mobility side of this industry for about 10 years. So I have the experience on both, which is the two main parts of this industry is again, the mobility and the respiratory side. So, and then Sova Sage. So I've been part of the leadership team here for about 2.5 years. A little history behind Sova Sage. First got started actually in 2018 by our CEO, Will Kegler. I call him Bill. A lot of people know him by Bill as well. He actually was the founder of MedSage, which was a resupply program, the leading program many, many years ago, and it was acquired by Philips. He actually had a couple other different business ventures, and he was a professor at Carnegie Mellon University, CMU, here in Western Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh. And he developed SmartFit, which is a AI mask selector. It actually got started in 2018, launched, perfect timing, in 2020 because of COVID. And that was really our first venture into what we visualize as a full patient management for CPAP patients. First and foremost, and as I mentioned before, we're really a SaaS program. About 2.5 years ago, I joined, and I came on board along with many of the previous folks that were with Philips with their PAMS program. It was PAP compliance program back then, sleep coaches and respiratory therapists only. But today Sova Sage is really a blend of a perfect technology and live support. There's various ways that patients need to communicate with others, and we've got both of them. We got all of them.
That's awesome, Jamie. So you've had a standout career covering, the whole spectrum of DME from Philips, now leading the sales initiative at Sova Sage. What originally drew you into the DM industry, and what's kept you here so long?
Yeah. Well, I'll answer the second part. Once you get sucked in, you're in it, right? It's hard to get out.
That I can agree with. I think
Wayne could
7
probably
or 8
relate to
years
that.
now. Yeah, it goes by quick, and it's like
I think you're pushing 10, dude.
Yeah, I met Mike 10 years ago, but yeah, that's when I first got into DME, and then we launched Nico Health like 7. So I'm getting up there, OG status like Jamie.
Yeah.
But I'll let you answer the question.
Well, I mean, it's really, you get sucked in, but what's really important is it's a great industry. There's a lot of wonderful people. You get to know them. We all are collectively working together for one benefit, which is to help patients live at home, really, very independently and safe, get them from that hospital to the home setting, Again, there's a lot of different parts of our industry. There's the whole bent metal piece too as well. But it's a great industry. It's ever changing. I'm sure we'll talk about that today. But how I got into it, actually, I was coming out of college. I had met a gentleman by the name of Werner Frank. He had a company by the name of Frank Mobility Systems, which was a company that specialized in wheelchair equipment. And my first exposure into the industry, again going back like 30 years, was at a pediatric show for mobility equipment down in the Washington D.C. area. And I came back. I just was like to my wife, man, if I could do this from a pediatric side and seeing these children and seeing the benefits of helping them, I could do anything in this industry. So that was my first venture, and did that actually for a couple of years before moving on to Prime Mobility and Quantum Rehab.
Gotcha. It's always interesting hearing, because to your point, a lot of people that we speak with, I guess I'm becoming one of them, has been in DME a long time. So it's always cool to hear how people got into it, but they definitely stick around. So
yeah, I guess the DME industry can't be so bad. You've been in this space for 30 years. You still have all your hair, so that's a good sign.
Some gray in there, but some people say I diet, but I don't, guys. You can tell with the goatee.
Low stress, awesome. I guess. That's great.
So I don't know about that. I think that's probably just the blood, the Italian blood.
There you go. Caputo. So at Sova Sage, what's your day-to-day focus look like in driving growth?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're really focusing on providers' needs. I always say that, and they're ever changing, right? Some providers need, a full outsourced service. They just don't have the staff, or maybe they get a big turnover. You see a lot of companies in this industry that are just outsourcing services, and it's cost effective. It is. There's a lot of benefits from a workflow perspectives and efficiencies. But then you also have customers that just need, or providers that just need tools and technology to work together with their current staff to make them more productive and efficient. So we really have various applications, programs, and tools to help either one of those. And we really are focusing on the PAP arena and patients from once they got diagnosed and they're handed off to a provider, what's those steps? And the first step a lot of times is getting them through the system, the approval system, but then that next step is, hey, we got to figure out if this patient's coming in for a setup or they're going to be remote. And we have services and features for remote and virtual setup. Obviously, I talked about how we got involved with the company at first with SmartFit, which is our mask selector. That's the next part. You send out a quick text, they take a survey, they take a picture, it comes back, and it's going to give, based off of a series of questions and really our AI behind the scenes, the recommendation for the best mask, size, cushion, et cetera, for that patient based off of each of our customers' formularies. And then from there, then it starts with the compliance management piece. And that's different for everybody. And what I mean by that is, we're all used to it being, for the most part, following Medicare guidelines, straight 90 days, 70% of the time, 21 out of 30 days, that rolling 90 days, which is kind of confusing. And we created a really cool new feature within our application, which is called Genie, by the way, to help patients and manage that process and providers. But other insurances might say, hey, it needs to be long-term. It needs to be maybe 9 months. And then coupled with that, the goal should not be and is not just getting that patient compliant. Compliant is an insurance term. Adherence is a usage term. I remember that from, shout out to Dr. Mark Aloya, who was with Philips and now with Inspire. And it's true. And you want to make sure, and providers want to make sure, that you're staying with that patient through their whole journey with therapy. And some patients will fall off right away. So we have tools and programs that will continue past 90 days. And we call that long-term adherence management. And really it ties that patient, makes them, I don't want to say stickier, but it keeps them with the provider longer, and it keeps them into their resupply funnel. And that's key. That's key to the revenue here, is getting them compliant and then getting them on resupply. And unfortunately, with reimbursement levels, a lot of times you're not breaking even until probably after you get that patient compliant and on one resupply order. So it's critical to maintain that throughout the patient's journey.
Absolutely, Jamie. A couple things I want to unpack there. So you mentioned a lot of tools within Sova Sage. One of them uses AI, which, by the way, comes up on every podcast so far. What would you say is one of the biggest misconceptions that providers or DME have with using technology in PAP therapy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when it comes to Sova Sage and our AI, it's what we have created in the algorithm and the rules, and Genie, which is a digital virtual sleep coach. It's not an app, but something that the patient can connect to and relate to very easily without downloading anything or putting any of their information, and it's all about interoperability. But with our AI, a lot of it is all behind the scenes, and it also allows the patient to communicate in different means where maybe they just don't like to talk to somebody live, or their preference is text or email. We have all that. The AI also allows us to blend our expert team of sleep coaches and respiratory therapists to work together, and really is the driving force. I'll call it our CRM system behind the scenes, that's monitoring patients every single day out of the various different manufacturer compliance software systems, and doing that every single day, and basically telling our staff or our customer staff, hey, this patient needs help. They haven't communicated recently. They haven't used recently. But I'm going to say that the misconception is, you hear a lot about AI, and some people get scared about it. It's been around for a long time. I mean, Carnegie Mellon University is one of the leading first folks who actually designed machine learning decades ago. It's just that it's become more popular, more widely spread and used in the upcoming years. But for us, it's a blend. It's a blend of using technology and live support exactly when it's needed.
What do you think is the most exciting change coming to sleep therapy in the next 12 months or so?
Good question. There's a lot that's happened in sleep in the last 4 or 5 years. Folks that are probably giggling a little bit and crying a little bit behind the scenes. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to see continued increase in awareness for patients with OSA, and that's going to drive the need for us in our industry to help these patients. We continuously see an increase every single year, 5, 6, 7%. But look at all the different technology out there with your phones, with rings, all the different technology that can detect that you might have sleep apnea. So the growth is there, and it will continue to be there. And CPAP has been the gold standard, and will be for a while. But obviously, there's other alternatives too.
It seems like that's been kind of a trend, right? Like everyone says, like the past 5 years has been kind of a whirlwind, and things have really changed since COVID. It seems like that's been something that's been said a few times on the podcast.
I also think the awareness. Last episode, it hasn't come out yet, but we spoke with Robert Miller at Apria.
Yes,
and he has the Sleep Tech Talk podcast. I think I said that right. Sorry, Robert, if I butchered
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But he said his YouTube channel is getting the most traction. It has 50,000 subscribers, which I thought was insanely impressive
awesome.
in such a niche area. But I think it's because people definitely are focusing on sleep, even if you don't have, sleep apnea, you don't have a CPAP. Like a lot of these tools, like the Whoop band or the Ring, like people that are perfectly, I don't want to say healthy, but if you don't have any issues, are still thinking about their sleep. So the awareness, like just in my personal life, like I had buddies saying, "Oh, I got a good night's sleep last night," and I'm like, "Great, you don't have any kids," but yeah, I think people are just becoming more and more aware. So I thought that was interesting. You said that. I'm sure you see that. I see it from my side, but we're on more on the DME side than the compliance and the adherence side. So I'm sure you see that, like you said, every year continuing to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny you bring up Robert. And, I kind of, when you invited me to this podcast, I was like thinking about Dr. George and Emerson Kerr and Robert this whole time because they started that several years ago. And I could see this podcast reaching that kind of level here in a couple of years. So kudos for getting it started off.
Yeah,
That's the
I
goal.
told him he's our goal. So yeah, I think he said they have 102 episodes, which is amazing. So.
Yeah, good guys over there. A lot of knowledge in the sleep industry. And by the way, apologize if you heard the dog in the background. I'm sure that was the Amazon person.
We've all been there.
Talking about growth, Jamie. So, you've scaled teams, grown sales channels, introduced new and exciting SaaS solutions to the market. What's one lesson that our followers could take away just in all this experience you have? A lot of salespeople in our industry are probably listeners to this from different vendors. So, and any insights you can give from all these experiences you had just from a sales perspective?
Yeah, I mean, from a sales perspective, I would just say listen to your audience's needs, right? I will be the first person that will say, hey, I want to learn a little bit about you guys, what you're doing, what's your success, but what's your challenges and needs. And then let me talk a little bit about what we do. And then from there, if there's a match, let's continue that conversation. Not everybody has these types of needs. Most providers do. The larger you get, the more challenging it is to manage. It's that scalability, right? I kind of mentioned that earlier on. Some people, that's their main demand. Or need. Some other folks, they might have, I've got the staff already, just need to make them more efficient. But from a sales perspective also, you got to change. You got to innovate. That's what we've been doing for many years, and we continue to do it, especially in software, right? I mean, you know better than anybody else, Wayne. I mean, if you do not update on an ongoing basis, you're dying. And you got to have that interoperability too, as well, that you work together with all these systems, which by the way, and we're working with Nico to create and working on an API. We've got customers using Nico, but we're taking it to the next level, which will create that interoperability. But, from a sales perspective, I like to think of keeping things simple. Know who your potential customers are. Gaining their interest, conducting a good demo. Let's not say a presentation or not say a sales presentation, but a demo to understand who they are and what their needs are. And then from there, work together with them to collaborate on the best solution that's gonna help them and help us together collectively. That's true partnership, right?
Yeah,
Wayne, you could probably relate to that on the demo side,
yeah,
for
I think
sure.
the part, I'm the demo guy. I think giving a demo is important because one thing that I like, a takeaway that I have is like, and you, Jamie, just have this, I would say, because you've done this as long as Alex has been alive, but is the business acumen, understanding what these providers do, what their pain points are, being able to relate to similar stories of how you helped other people. Because, and in this day and age with so much technology, a presentation is not going to cut it. They want to see how this actually looks, feels in a real life scenario. So I definitely totally resonate with that.
Yeah, and kind of what
Go
we
ahead,
were
Alex,
saying,
did you
Jamie,
wanna
like
say something?
just keeping things simple, right? From the sales perspective. I remember I was actually doing a case study with one of the clients that we had brought on, who was really loving Nico Health, and one of them said, "I just had a great demo with Wayne," and he used this great analogy, something about like a Cadillac under the hood. What was it, Wayne? And he was like, "That's the reason why I bought it."
I must have had a good analogy on the fly.
It was yeah, it was something. It was something
I
about like
remember,
a
yeah,
Cadillac.
it was in-home respiratory. We gotta look at the case study. Hopefully, use it as a quote.
Yeah, I
With
gotta pull that
David,
out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's like that
Do
just
you
made
think
sense.
this?
I bought it.
Do you think from your MedSage days till now that approach has stayed the same, or have you, because I feel like back then you could probably maybe get away with the presentation. Now it's like, all right, show me the front end, show me the back end, and how I'm going to get there. Has the sales approach and just kind of the consultative approach changed from the MedSage days till now, or some things still the same?
Some, I would say a little bit of both. Some has stayed the same, some hasn't. I mean, we're using much better technology. I mean, everybody is nowadays using some sort of webinars, and there's dozens that are out there. I remember just using WebEx and it was horrible. But I've been doing this type of presentation for years. I remember it would take sometimes 20 minutes just to get a provider to be able to log in. And, that was the number one challenging thing in a presentation, making sure that they could log in. But there's definitely other things that have changed. I mean, look what COVID has done. It has expanded everybody into looking outside the box, using this type of technology. Good and bad, pros and cons for everything. As long as the pros outweigh the cons, that's great. And just talking about COVID and what's happened with this industry really has kind of given us the opportunity to meet the patient where they want to meet. So the providers have embraced conducting remote or virtual setups. It is a good way of doing it with the right patient. Some other patients just didn't need to be in person, but you got to have a good program and good infrastructure and workflow process to have it, not piecemeal it. So we put everything into one cohesive application, so to speak. So yeah, some things have changed, but some things haven't either too.
Yeah,
like
and
I
actually
said, you like to go
going
back
off
to the
of,
basics.
Going off of changes, there's actually, as you know, there's a lot of policy changes, different tech evolution changes. What's the biggest opportunity HME suppliers are capitalizing on today?
I say just the continuous improvements on streamlining their processes and looking at opportunities to create additional efficiencies. I mean, let's face it, and this has been a broken record for a while, reimbursement levels are not going up. They all constantly seem to go down. We got the word about competitive bidding coming out again. And, the new RAD rules, you got to change. You got to get prepared. And the only way to be able to do that and to be impactful in this industry and stay in the industry, be profitable, is to do more, right? And do better with products that are going to be able to make you more efficient and productive. Wayne, you're shaking your head because that's I'm sure that's what you guys talk about on a daily basis. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, I even ask people, when was the last time you actually reevaluated technology solutions, right? A lot of these providers have been doing things for a very long time, and some people aren't as open to change as others. So I like to propose the question, hey, when was the last time you actually looked around, right? You can spend 15 minutes poking around in DME now and see all types of new and exciting technology. So, I think that is absolutely has to be first and foremost, because, you can't solve problems with bodies anymore just because everything is insanely expensive, right? So you need to continuing to, like you said, evolve, or it's kind of slow death.
It really is. You have to evaluate yourself as person, as a company. Maybe you've been doing something the same way for 5 years, that doesn't mean it's still working or there isn't something better out there. Going back on one of the other questions about, sales and what I've learned over the years and other things, some things haven't changed. You got to actually show those results, and we're excited with Sova Sage to show our customers the great outcomes and be able to show that live results of those. But in a sales process, and thinking about things, guys, by the way, when you ask me a question, I'll think about all of a sudden, what did I miss? The follow-up is what I missed, from a sales process. If you don't follow up correctly, you're dead. But part of that follow-up is it's showing a good ROI, showing what the ROI would look like. But on a personal level too, as well, from a sales perspective, I've always done this for myself. Going into a meeting, you want to have goals, right? But then you got to evaluate yourself coming out of that call. What worked? What didn't? Write down those notes. Heavens, if I didn't write down the notes, I'd forget everything. And what you need to follow up with. So that's important. I analyze that a lot. And I analyze that on my personal life too as well.
On the flip side, would you say there's anything that you had to unlearn as a sales leader in the last 5 years?
Unlearn. I would probably say try to, from my new position now being more on a leadership side, I try to be sometimes a little bit too much of a salesperson, showing too much, perhaps talking too much, rather than being more precise and listening a little bit more.
That's why that's why I say you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So I try to remember it the same. It's easy. Like it's hard for me too, because there's so much stuff that you're passionate about.
Sure.
And when you see an opportunity to help someone, you just start, I just go in go mode. I'm like, all right, this, that, and the third, like, are you sold yet? Because I can do all this.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, you got to listen twice as much as you talk. It's definitely, it's interesting. So we use, at Nico Health, we use a tool called Fathom that is like an AI tool that records all the calls. And it has like a monologue button, and it's like a little meter that goes up, and it says, okay, you've talked 85%, they've talked 15%, and a little light starts flashing when you go into monologue mode, and like I'm hitting the light all the time still.
Stop.
It's always like monologue in the corner. I'm like why are you silent? I'm like, I'm waiting for my monologue meter to go down. But it's interesting. It records everything, and it does like a lot of the evaluation that you said. Like when you walk out of a meeting, you can go back and it scores it. Hey, did you answer all their questions? What was their pain? Like it does a lot of that thinking for you. And like, it's one of my favorite like AI tools, like outside of DME, that like has personally like work related made my life so much easier.
Yeah. Zoom and other webinars have that AI built in, and it'll summarize it. And we started using that too as well. And it's great because you can say, hey, in a business review, these are the action items, and it'll list it out, and it's very clear to both parties too what it is. So that again, that's just evolving and adapting to new technology, and it's changing so much. But you still need that human touch when it's needed.
Totally.
And that's what we do. We actually assign sleep coaches and respiratory therapists to each one of our accounts, so that patient that person stays with that patient the whole time. So we're still keeping that traditional compliance management still intact too.
Yeah, what I've been trying to emphasize with folks later is it's very easy to pitch the software, but it's also important for the provider to know that you're providing a service along with it, because software is one thing. The service is a whole other aspect of how you onboard someone, how you keep them happy as a client, how you adjust and evolve with their ongoing needs. So, software and the service, I think it goes hand in hand. So I always, because people, when they just see a nice fancy software, they're not really thinking about everything behind the scenes until they start setting it up or they have a question. So I've been trying to think more about that lately and say, hey, it's not just me on a screen. There's a whole hamster behind the wheel type thing happening to make all this happen. So,
Oh, you bring up a great point. You know, services, very little are similar in some sense. You could take just a widget. I'll call it a widget. Sometimes I'll say it a CPAP. You know, and you can kind of compare them. And a lot of times they're the same thing. You know, it might have a different algorithm here, different algorithm there, but it does the same job. But with a service, you gotta know what you are getting. And we're very, very comprehensive. I mean, we have programs that enable our SmartFit program inside of it, our staff, Genie, our digital virtual sleep coach, all live reporting that's within our system. We help providers with managing their patients for follow-ups for visits with the physicians. That's huge. That's if you ask any CPAP provider saying, hey, one of my other struggles is I just can't get that patient to go back to the doctor that I need for the chart notes to process the billing. Well, not only do we help that, we remind the patient the day before, we confirm it the day after, we inform them, these are the things that you should talk to your physician about and how CPAP has helped and benefited you with your OSA, what they need, the documents. So you got to be careful, because if it's just somebody saying, I'm going to go and log into your billing system and I'm going to manage your patients and call them and that's it, well, you're paying for what you get, right? So you gotta watch that, and also that they're not being different charges too, right? It's all included or it's different add-ons, and we know what that's all about.
Totally. Wayne, did you say you had another question after this, or was that? I don't know why I thought you had another question.
oh, well, we can do like a closing out question, Jamie. You know, usually we just say, hey, what's one piece of advice you would give someone first getting into the DME industry? And then after this brain buster, we have our rapid fire, which is easy. It's fun.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Let's go. Do it.
All right, you want to go right to the brain busters?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, we call it rapid fire. Let's go right to rapid fire then. Cool. All right, CPAP or BiPAP?
CPAP.
Coffee black or coffee with cream and sugar?
Cream, sugar, got a sweet tooth.
Early sales
Anything
call
that has
or,
Willy Wonka candy, I love it.
Early sales call or late night email strategy session?
Early sales call.
Excel formulas or PowerPoint pitches?
PowerPoint. Yeah, the pitch.
I'm with you on that one. Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's 50-50. I love both. Sorry.
All right, fair. That's fair.
Fair enough.
Run a marathon or host a webinar?
I've done some 5Ks before. I work out regularly, but I'm not a runner, so no.
All right, you're hosting
Take
a
the
webinar.
Yep, webinar. Yep.
All right, last
That's
one.
money though, so that's
Call
right
first
there.
or email first?
Depending upon your audience, really,
Yeah,
to be
good
honest
call.
with you. Ideally, you like to call somebody first, but sometimes it's a little bit more professional with an email.
Yeah, it could be weird if you're just calling somebody out of the blue.
Yeah.
I get it. Well,
These
Jamie,
days,
thanks
yeah,
so
like-
much for your time, and thanks for joining us today. We had a lot of fun doing this. If anyone wants to reach you or contact someone at Sova Sage, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, going back to one of the last questions. So if you want to call me, 412-216-1114, or Jamie .Caputo, that's CAPUTO at sovasage.com. Or you can just go on our website and request any information. That's probably the easiest.
Perfect.
Awesome, Jamie. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I think our followers definitely enjoy all the insight you've given, and I'll let Alex give his spiel of where to find us at, and we'll close it out.
All right. Yeah. If you haven't subscribed yet to the Claim to Fame podcast, you can do so on all the major streaming platforms. Jamie, again, thanks so much. And maybe we can do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
And
Jamie. Have a good weekend, sir.
yeah, you too, guys.
Take it
And
easy.
good luck. This is a great format. hopefully really helpful for everybody in the industry and thinking about coming to the industry. So we need some new young bloods too as well. So
Perfect. Yes, sir. All right. Thanks again, Jamie.
thanks.